Hey guys, in this video I'm going to be showing you how I'm going to do the brickwork for my custom mantle fireplace here. This video is brought to you by Tecton Tools, who sent me this awesome hammer along with a bunch of other tools to try out. Make sure to check out their website. I'll put a link in the description below. What I'm going to be doing is putting in a brick veneer all across the face here and down across the hearth down here. I'm actually going to be using two different kinds of brick. I'm using a standard brick for the hearth down here, and then for the actual veneer over the fireplace, I'm going to be using a half a brick, basically. The reason why I'm using two different types of brick is basically because of weight. These are half the size, so basically half the weight. They're not as thick as the regular bricks, but I want that thickness on the base of the hearth. I like the beefier thickness on the hearth. I just don't really want it up here, only because of the, like I said, the weight issue. So I've got the mantle temporarily in place. That'll come off when I actually do the brick veneer work and all that kind of stuff. But for now, it's good where it is. It fits, looks good. So what I've got here, I've already got some concrete backer board down on the hearth. I don't have any up around the fireplace yet. That still needs to be done. And I've just attached these down here with some of these concrete board screws. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna attach this wire mesh to the front of the hearth here and to the top of the pre-existing hardwood floor, just on the very front edge of the hearth. I'm turning one brick on its side and edging the front face of the hearth. I need something for the brick to bond to. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some of these concrete board screws, I'm gonna attach the wire mesh to the hearth and to the flooring. And now, I'm gonna take a sip of beer first, because I've earned it after doing so much work so far. So, now what I'm gonna do is I am going to take and mix up a little bit of mortar, and I'm gonna do my little scratch coat on top of my metal here, which basically just means it's a very thin coat of mortar, just enough to cover the mesh. And so then the mortar that's on the back of the brick is gonna have a nice surface to bond to. And I'm just gonna work my way all the way down the front face here, trying to keep that nice, consistent, level face. Stopping periodically to have a sip. Because it's late at night, you're just getting home from work, you're tackling this project. If you're like me, you've had a long day. So you're just unwinding, taking your time, relaxing, just having a good old time. It's like Bob Ross, doing a little nice and easy. Nice paint, just paint on the mortar. Oh yeah. All right, so we've got ourselves a little scratch coat put down. That's really all we can do on this right now. We gotta let this set up. Okay, while our scratch coat dries, I've gone ahead and taken off our mantle, but not before I traced around where the mantle sits so that I know where I can put my concrete backer board around my firebox. The scratch coat's gonna need probably to dry overnight. So I'm gonna end the night tonight by putting up the rest of the concrete backer board. Okay, so we've got our firebox surround all covered in our cement board. So the next thing and the last thing I'm gonna do tonight is I'm gonna take and mix up some quick thin set, and I'm just gonna hit these seams where the cement board comes together just to give it a nice finish and to solidify these joints a little bit. Okay guys, we're ready to start laying some brick on our hearth. What I've done is I've gone through and I've laid out a couple chalk lines. I've spent some time to kind of mock things up and see how it's all gonna come together. I'm laying my first course down the front of the hearth flat, horizontally. And that's just going to line up, cover the front face. And then from then on, for the bottom of the hearth here, I'm actually going to turn them vertically, and I'm going to lay them like this. I like that look better, and it's going to raise the height up a little bit so that it's a little bit closer to the firebox height. I've gone ahead, I've mixed up my mortar. I've got a couple chalk lines laid out here. I've got a few tools. I've got a little level, I've got a 4-foot level, a hammer, a masonry chisel, a a couple trowels, chalk line, all things I might need as I go forward. I'm going to use a technique called back buttering, which is where you take the mortar and you actually just smear it along the back side of the bricks like this, all the way around, make sure you get a nice base. Then I'm gonna take and I'm gonna press the brick down into place, wiggle it around, give it a nice tap with the hammer. I have a rubber mallet somewhere, but I can't find it. But if you have one, it's helpful so that you don't snap the brick in half when you smack with the hammer. I've got a 5/8 inch piece of wood here that's gonna act as a spacer so that I know that my grout lines are all gonna be pretty consistent. So I'm just gonna take this, and as I set each course, I'm just gonna kind of stick that and use it as a guide for where the bricks line up. I'm gonna start here on the face, down below, and then I'm gonna work my way up and back. Okay, so our front course is all in place. So now what I want to do is, because I'm covering this with the other bricks running this way, I won't really be able to access these cracks and stuff in the back here later on with to put more mortar grout in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do that right now just for this front course. The rest of it I'll put in place and let it dry, and then I'll come back and do the mortar later. But for this part, since I won't be able to really do it later because I won't be able to get into these little holes and stuff in the back here because these will be in the way, I'm going to do it right now. So I'm going to put a little mortar in my mortar bag here. I've got a mortar bag. So I'm just going to put a little mortar in here, and I'm going to do it like I'm frosting a cake. I'm just going to squeege it right in all these little holes and cracks and everything. That way I know this bottom course won't go anywhere. So I've got my little scoop trowel here. I'm just gonna scoop a bit inside my mortar bag. I've got my mortar a little wet so that it's easier to work with. Frosting a cake. So now I'm ready to get started on my top course here. So same technique here for this, except I'm gonna be doing the bottom side and the sides. So, which side do I like better? I think I like this finished side better. So, this is gonna be a little bit messy. It's hard to get around that. Put it all down the face. I'm gonna set this first row and then go off of that. It's gonna be a little bit of an eyeball game as well. Trust your eyes here. So I'm just gonna alternate courses. Start in the front, work my way backwards, start in the back, work my way forwards, go back and forth like that. For the cuts on the full-size brick, I'm using a masonry chisel and a hammer and just breaking the brick as close to the measurement as I can. I'm not too worried about if it's super clean, because when I put it in and fill the mortar around it, you're not gonna really be able to tell how jagged the cut is, but I'm paying close attention to make sure that it's the right size. For the veneer on the fireplace surround, my wet saw can actually handle the smaller bricks, so I'm using that to make more precise cuts. Once you've set a few bricks, it's pretty much the same thing over and over again. Just make sure you get a nice mortar bed on the back of your brick, press it into place, making sure that the brick gets a nice seat, check it for level, and then move on to the next one. After all the bricks were in place, I went back through with the mortar bag and hit all the joints. The last thing I did was I went back through and cleaned up the mortar joints with a brick joiner. All right guys, here is the finished product, complete with the new brick and the new mantle and everything all put together. Super happy with the way that it turned out. This house is from the 1930s, and I'm restoring it with some rustic elements and some modern flourishes. So I think this is gonna really add some nice classic elegance to the space. It already stands out when you walk in the door. It's a huge focal point now, which is what I was kind of going for. I love the way that it looks. I think it looks great with the colors on the wall. And I'm excited to get the rest of the room together to see how it really stands out. But I hope you guys liked this video. I hope you learned something. If you did like this video, be sure to subscribe and leave a comment below. And as always, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. I'll leave the links down below. And until next time, I will see you guys later. Thanks so much for watching.